This plant medicine isn't just one of the oldest spiritualities. It is, in my opinion, the greatest. And you can take that with a grain of salt, because I'm a Chajin who's come here to share tea with you, and you wouldn't expect a Christian to knock on your door and say, I kind of sort of believe in Jesus. But I have a reason that I'm going to share with you anyway. Is that, all of the many of the other traditions, ways, prophecies, scriptures, they were oracled by people. And having been oracled by people, they are culturally, linguistically, and temporally specific. In other words, if you translate the teachings of the Buddha from 2,500 years ago to 2013, and from Magadhi, which is the language that he spoke, into English, something's lost. Furthermore, because it's in language, you can agree or disagree. Because it's conceptual, you can believe or not believe. But these sutras, they're written in the veins of belief, and they're timeless, and they're non-verbal. And you can say, I don't want a bowl of tea, as you did. That's fine. You can say, I don't want a bowl of tea, but you can't say, I disagree with it, or I don't believe in it. I don't believe in this bowl of tea. You can't say that. That's absurd. And I've traveled all over the world doing this. And we have a center. I'll tell you later about that. So people all over the world are coming to me too. And something amazing that I've found is that this teaching, this wisdom, because it's written by nature, it fits all the traditions. I have a lot of family in Florida who are really Christian. I don't see them very much because I'm a monk and I don't have any money. But I have, every time I do see them, which is whatever, once a decade, they're like tea ceremony, they want it. And then we have tea ceremony, and then I start sharing, and I see them all whispering to each other. That's like when Jesus died. And we just had a Iranian Sufi at the center. Amazing man. And every day, we'd meditate, drink tea like we just did in silence. There'd be some teaching. And every day, as though it hadn't happened the day before, every day for 3 weeks. It was so cute. Somewhere in the midst of the teaching, he would do the same thing, like he hadn't already done it 10 days in a row. And with a great earnestness, he would put his hand on the table and he would look at all my students and he would say, you know what he's teaching is Sufi, right? And he would say it with all of his heart. And then he'd proceed to tell some Sufi story that kind of demonstrated what it was that we were learning. And the awesome thing was that I got to hear all these incredible Sufi stories that were so inspiring. I lived in Malaysia for some time, and it's a very eclectic society, probably the most eclectic on earth. And the fact is, if you put a Buddhist, a Christian, a Hindu, a Muslim in a room and they talk about politics or religion, they come out fighting, arguing. If you put them in that same room and they drink tea and talk about tea, they come out brothers. And I've seen it. And Malaysia kind of peacefully continues because the people are kind of separate. They don't intermingle much. But the tea community there does. And I've seen that Buddhist, Christian, Muslim, Hindu in the room. And I've seen them hugging over tea.
Um, we're kind of 5 fingers on a hand. First is our center now, which is in Miaoli, Taiwan. It's a very small town in the mountains of Taiwan. And in Chinese it's called Tongshen Ting, which means the hut that conveys you to sagehood. And in English we call it Tisei Chat. We have about 200, sometimes 250 people per year from 30 countries around the world come and stay. And it's really cool because you get to make friends with people who come and visit. You might bump from someone from anywhere, and we find those people still in contact. Emily here is still Skyping with her Dutch roommate when she was at the center. And all room and board, all classes, all food, all everything is 100% free. There is a donation box, and it's got some Chinese calligraphy on it, and I'll translate that for you because it kind of expresses our philosophy as far as donations go. It says the price of this tea is anything from 10 cents to 10,000 in gold. Otherwise, it's free. I only wish I could give it to you for less. That's kind of the philosophy of our center and how we operate. So our center is beautiful, and we hope to keep it, and it's wonderful. It's been going on for about 5 years now, and so many amazing things about it. It does have a little problem, which is that it's starting to get fat like me, bursting at the seams. And of course, the universe responded, and last December we were donated 5 acres of land in the mountains. As I mentioned, Tisei Chat is in a small town in the mountains. It's called Miaoli, very small town. But this land, our new land, is actually in the mountains, completely isolated, and it's absolutely stunning. It has a waterfall, it has eagles, it has monkeys, it has 100 sakura trees, cherry trees that blossom. And we're going to build the world's biggest, best tea center, the best that has ever been done. And we hope to be able to host 500 people a year freely. We hope to have a tea garden with varietals of tea from all over the world for people for educational purposes. We hope to grow all our own food as well. The track that we're kind of on is threefold, all embraced under an intentional community, a global intentional community. But one is, of course, tea and the plant medicine and spirit in this plant. Second is meditation, non-sectarian. We do offer meditation instructions if you want, but our center is, when I said our center was free, I meant free in every way. Also, not just free financially, but free ideologically. You are not required to believe in any philosophy or be a particular religion or practice a certain way in order to take and gather from our center. Our meditation hall has only one rule, which is that the meditation not disturb others, but what technique it is beyond that is up to you. Your medicine is your medicine. We just provide space. And it'll be a place, where there's tea, there's meditation, and finally, sustainability. We were gifted this land with the condition that we not harm nature in any way. And we've been going to the land and asking her to let us in. You have your own children. We're not here to take away your children. We're here to be more children. Every good mother wants more children. And we were asking like that. And we hope to build buildings that look like they've been there always, and out of green materials, etc. So, tea and meditation and sustainability is the kind of what this intentional community is about. And it's for you. The new center is called Light Meets Life, because we want it to be a place where the sacred light meets all aspects of life. The Chinese is actually, again, a little bit deeper. It's Guangzhou Wuliang, which means light meets life, and through that meeting they both become infinite. So that's what the Chinese refers to. Something really beautiful about our new center is the day that it opens, we will light the charcoal that heats water for tea, and it will never go out. So it will be burning always, so that no matter where you are in the world, you can remember that you have but to step through the door and tea is ready for you. So we have those two centers. Third, then we have something called Global Tea Hut. A lot of people in here are members. Basically, it started as a way to fund a lot of what we do. people around the world donate energy. The minimum is $20 a month. It happens through PayPal automatically. And then in exchange for that, you get an envelope that inside that every month has a tea and a magazine that describes that tea and how it's made and processed, and also several other articles on Cha Dao and tea and other things, and about news about this community. And you can meet different members of the community, we introduce them, and then a gift. It's a huge gift exchange. And actually this gift exchange funnels energy into the center so magically, because it's just a huge gift. And the giving is different too. Most of the people around the world that are giving because they want to support our center. These farmers, all the teas that go out in Global Tea are organic and or living teas. And these farmers are donating because they want their tea to go out into the world. I visited one of the farmers recently that was featured last June, the Oriental Beauty, Eastern Beauty. His name's Gu, Master Gu. And I visited him, and he had a friend over that was an artist. And he introduced me to his friend. And he introduced Global Tea Hut to his friend. And then he looked at me and he looked at his friend and he put his hand on his heart and he started crying. He said, "They're drinking my tea in Spain." And I of course cried too. I was right there. And so it's a really powerful way that these farmers are also getting their message of sustainability and organic tea and good things out to the world. It's a chance for you to learn about tea every month. And this is the magic of it that we've learned. You know, linear time is an illusion, and it doesn't matter that you drink the tea on Tuesday and I drink it on Thursday. And this is a globe, it's not a map. So it doesn't matter you're in LA and she's in Switzerland and he's in Russia and I'm in Taiwan. The fact is that we're having a month-long global tea session again. And it's changing the world. And there's a lot of people that come to Taiwan and they meet these farmers and they buy the tea themselves and they bring it home. And then that exact same tea comes 3 months later in Global Tea Hut and they're shocked at how different it is. The one that goes out in Global Tea Hut, because you can really feel the community that's drinking with you around the world. Also, the tea sits on our altar in the center for a month before it leaves. And I think most of you know, some of you don't, we have a 800-year-old Guan Yin in our center, Ming Dynasty. So she's very strong. You can learn about her when you come in your own way. A lot of you don't really know me personally, but Buddha has really only 2 modalities. I talk about spiritual matters, including tea, and I clown. There's no in between. Those are my 2 modes. I am very silly. So our center is also, let me tell you, a huge place of celebration and laughter and fun and joking and dancing and cooking. And we have 2 rules in our center, and they're on the wall, and they say next to them, non-negotiable. They're very serious. You gotta keep them if you come. And rule number 1 is hug everyone in this house every day. And rule number 2 is be in love. So T-Sage Hot Light Meets Life, Global Tea Hut. 4th project we do is something called The Leaf. It's a free online tea magazine. It's electronic only. The difference, it's got about 8 issues now. You can go read them all for free. The difference between The Leaf and the newsletters that come in Global Tea Hut are that the newsletters in Global Tea Hut are more spiritual, casual, personal, related, and the Leaf articles are a little bit more linear and tea related. And finally, it's our intention to create, for lack of a better word, sister centers all over the world that are based on a really new business model. But the idea is that they're communal places where you can come and serve tea to your friends, and we provide the teaware, and the water. You bring your friends there and serve tea to them, and they leave a donation, and that's it. And there's also a tea shop, but 100% of the profits will return to the community itself. It's really cool when profits go to get medicine for kids in Africa. That's awesome. But medicine is one aspect of life, and ideas travel quicker than medicine. When a community is strong spiritually, everything else is built on that. You know, the Buddha said that dana, which means giving, it's great to give any kind of dana. But you give food and people are hungry again tomorrow. And you give clothes and the clothes wear out and they need more clothes a year from now. You give them medicine, they get still sick again and die. So he said the highest dana is the kind that supports spiritual growth because it transcends incarnation. And because on an impersonal level, it evolves consciousness itself on this planet. So it is the highest of dana. So we hope these places can be like that, and that all the money can stay in the community, 100% of the profits. There will be employees, but they'll be salaried, right? Rather than kind of owner modality, they'll be salaried. They make a comfortable living for themselves. Ultimately, the model is this: you need herbs and you need a prescription. Herbs without a prescription don't do you any good, and a prescription without herbs don't do you any good. And like all traditional medicine for thousands of years, the one who gives the prescription, the doctor, does not sell his own herbs. Only recently have doctors become pill pushers. It's never like that before. They write prescriptions and you go to the pharmacy to get your drugs. Because you can't develop the proper trusting relationship when the one writing the prescription is financially invested in the medicine that he's selling. And so we don't have any of that because our center doesn't sell a single thing. We don't sell TRT ware. We are the doctor.
It runs so counter to the things that are going on in our world today, like the internet and like being too busy and too overwhelmed, being caught in cities and not connecting with nature enough. This whole thing this feels to me like a return, really like a return to the garden in some respect. And I know I can speak for myself personally, I really crave that in my life. And so when I'm around this tea, and Colin, and Buddha, and these other tea pourers and teachers, I feel closer to the land. I genuinely do. And I think that's something worth perpetuating. And I understand the power of grassroots, and I think that it's very exciting, the idea of drinking tea that other people around the world are drinking. And at the same moment, any given time, I think there's a huge energetic connection there.
What we're talking about is building a new center there that can facilitate more people going there. And I think that's really, really a worthwhile and important thing, because I know when I went there, I was so moved and transformed by my experience there. And part of it was that when I showed up and Buddha invited me over for a bowl of tea, and then we stayed for a month. I mean, that says a lot in and of itself. But the first couple of days when he and his students were so extraordinarily giving, I was mistrustful of it, because I said, this is not, people don't actually behave this way. What's the catch? It was too inconsistent with people who are authentically giving from their hearts. It was just like, this doesn't really happen. And I remember one of where I dropped that disbelief was, we drove a couple hours away where they brought us to buy some tea and teaware to this town, Inga, and we were driving back, and they didn't need to do that. They were just doing it to help some people who were really into tea, and teaching us all day and all night, and putting up with all of our psycho-spiritual, emotional freakouts, because there's a lot of deep work going on. And we were driving back, and Buddha drove over 2 tracks of lane and pulled off on the side of the road, kind of up this ramp, and we were like, what's going on, and he was pulling over because he saw a car pulled over, and we were exhausted, and it was 11:30 at night or something. And he said, well, I don't know, these people might need help, and that moment really exemplified for me so much of what is going on there. And having experiences like that day after day after day, I feel like I had the first experience of authentic giving that I'd had. And a lot of those experiences have stuck with me more than any other kind of spiritual lesson or insights or things that have happened to me in my whole life. And so the idea of that being shared with more people, I think, is something that is really needed in the world and really important. So that's why I think this place, aside from teaching about Cha Dao and having meditation, is that people can go there and be around others who are authentically embodying a way of being that's really needed in the world right now.
You get to the top of the mountain and you're overlooking what seems like heaven. It's gorgeous. And the one thing that when they were gifted, Buddha explained to us, was that it was a vow to keep the place pure, and that they're not going to cut down, they're going to cut as little as possible and maintain the property as is. So it was just so profound to be on that land and feel how close to nature it really is to your home. So everything that Colin said was very true. And being able to see the space that the center is going to be built on is really incredible. It's just beautiful. So.